you for joining our course registration, focusing on the student panel. So you've pretty much been joining us through the course registration series that we've been having for you guys to prepare you for course registration. Some of you might have already registered and you're just here to get more information about some of the courses you selected, or you might have not even started registration yet, but you're looking for some inspiration. Look no further, because we do have some amazing current students here at St. Thomas, and they're more than happy to share their experiences with you in terms of like the courses that they've taken and what they kind of recommend. So a little bit about myself. So my name is Muchaneta. I'm a digital admissions counselor here at St. Thomas University. But first and foremost, I'm a proud STU graduate, graduating with a double major in human rights, as well as criminology and criminal justice last year. So I'm a recent graduate, so to say. And I'm really excited to bring this webinar to you guys, because I know the process can seem a little bit daunting and you may not know, where to start or what you're doing. But we're really trying to provide you with the resources to guide you at this step, so that you feel well equipped to select the courses that you're really interested in. So a few housekeeping things. If you've joined us in the past in our webinars, you know the drill already, but if this is your first time, welcome. You'll notice that your camera and microphone is currently off and will remain off for the duration of the webinar, but fear not, you'll still be able to talk to us through the Q&A box, which is either located at the bottom or at the top of your screen, depending on like your screen and Zoom location. So you'll be able to send in those questions. So if you have a question right now or questions that you've been thinking of throughout this process, please feel free to put that in the Q&A box for our students who will be joining us actually right now. So without further ado, I will introduce our students who are joining us. So, these are current students that have actually taken these courses, have been part of the STU programs in different years, different programs. So they're here to speak to you about their academic opportunities that they've also had. So with that said, I am going to invite our first speaker, Amber, to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amber. I'm going into my 4th year here at STU, and I'm studying gerontology with an honors in interdisciplinary studies.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amik. I'm actually going to my 4th year next year, and I'm an international student from Ecuador, currently honoring in international relations, doing a major in economics and a double minor in sociology and political science.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tishay, and I'm going into my 3rd year here at St. Thomas. I'm an international student as well from Nigeria, and I'm currently doing a double major in communications and public policy and digital media, and I'm minoring in business.
Hi, everyone. My name is Julia, and it sounds weird to say, but I actually am just finishing up with my 4th year and graduating next month. I'm a domestic student. I actually live in New Brunswick, and I'm so excited to answer your guys' questions about course selection tonight.
Lindsay, you can go ahead.
Hi, my name is Lindsay, and I'm also a 4th year, so I'm also going to graduate next month, and I'm doing a double major in fine arts and English.
Hi, everyone. My name is Estefania. I am an international student from Honduras, and I am doing an honors in international relations, a major in economics, and a double minor in fine arts and political science. And I'll be glad to answer any of the questions you may have.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you all so much. As you can tell, there are really quite some creative combinations that you find at St. Thomas. Like, I've really heard of different combinations, and it's always interesting to hear of this, which really affirms the fact that, your interests are valid and you can take anything that you're interested in really and just combine them if you want to. But with that being said, guys, feel free to put in your questions in the question and answer box, and we'll get started. So I just have a question for everyone, and we can kind of take the same order that we did introductions. But what made you choose the program or programs that you're in for some of you? So how did you arrive at that, like, oh, this is really what I want to do? How did you get to that point?
Yeah, so I'll start. When I first came to STU, I actually had no idea that gerontology was something that I could study. And in my 2nd semester of my 1st year, I needed a class to fill a spot in my schedule, so I enrolled in gerontology, and I ended up really, really loving it. And so then in my 2nd year, I decided to take the 2nd intro course and take more courses. in that discipline, and now it's my major. So you never know what could happen.
I agree with something that Amber just said. Like, we never know what anything could happen. Essentially, here at St. Thomas, because when I first arrived and began my studies, I was not sure of what I wanted to study because I was interested in many areas, and that's something I honestly like and enjoy about St. Thomas. That it gives me this opportunity to learn about different areas at the same time in my 4 years of my degree. As I said at the beginning, I'm studying international relations, economics, and many other areas. And that is something that honestly I came up to decide throughout my second year. So like that was a great opportunity for me during my whole first year to like choose many courses from different areas. One of my admissions counselor actually recommend me, like, if you actually are not sure what you want to study, feel free to discover, to learn new things. Like Amber mentioned, like, for example, gerontologies. Not many people know what this is about. Like, for example, I've never took any course in economics in high school or even a psychology course, and I got to experience actually throughout my first year. And that's how, like, during my second year, I finally decided that the areas I'm currently studying are meant for me.
I think like I can also like relate to what Amik said. Like I had like lots of interests, but like for me coming into the university, I was so sure like I was going to major in journalism. And in my first year, I took like a couple of classes, both journalism, and I took some communication classes as well. And I had, my current prof, Jamie, who, taught me introduction to communications. And I really did enjoy the class. And that really motivated me to take up, more classes in my second year. And halfway through my second year, first semester, I just really enjoyed the classes, and I enjoyed more, of the media classes in journalism. And towards the end of, the year, they introduced the, digital media program. So I just, realized I feel like that was the perfect fit for me. And the fact that, St. Thomas University also allows you, combine programs together. So you could do a double major, a double minor. That was also great for me. So I could just, actually have the best of both worlds and actually, put the courses I like together.
Yeah, as you guys can see probably so far, there is like a common trend here, and St. Thomas, they really encourage you to like try different things in your first year. The first year is about getting used to the university life and trying different subjects that you maybe weren't exposed to in like a high school setting. So I had a similar experience where I came in, I didn't actually know what I wanted to major in. And then I remember I took a Canadian government class. And I took an intro to human rights class. And I thought not only that they were both really interesting, but I also thought that the two disciplines like intersected together really nicely. And that doesn't have to be the case. Sometimes people will do two majors that are very different. But to me, I thought that the two connected very well. And that's why I decided to do an honors in human rights and then a major in political science.
I had a bit of a different but sort of similar experience. So what drew me to St. Thomas was actually a program they ended up shutting down in my first year and switching into a different sort of realm. But basically it was an English degree with a concentration in drama. So in my head, I was like, okay, maybe I'll go and I'll get to do English and drama. And instead, because they stopped offering that, I moved into fine arts, which drama is still kind of within fine arts. And then I found a deeper passion for both performance and playwriting. So my majors went really well together instead of just pursuing the concentration in drama within English.
Yeah, I feel like it is like really common that you go into school and like you think, because you can take as many like courses in different areas as you'd like. So you go into school and you think like you have so many interests. In my case, like almost everyone here in this panel, I wanted to have either a major or a minor in history. I just love history very much. And I took a course of history in my first year. But then I also found out that international relations does have this component of history, since it's kind of like interdisciplinary. It is interdisciplinary. So it was pretty much like history, but it also had like this political dimension. So at the end, I decided to take the route of honors in, international relations, and I still have like a really good base of history. And also something that I really drew me into STU was that I could combine all of my interests. So I could still like do like fine arts and like focus on visual arts. And so like I have always like taken like as many like visual arts class as possible. And yeah, honestly, you have to go into like an open mind in your first year and just explore really. That's how I took it in my first year. I took a lot of like classes of all like areas. And at the end, I decided to go with IR.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you all so much. And I think the common theme that we can pick up from this is that you don't have to come in already knowing what you want to study. So for some of you, you've already selected your courses. You might be like, oh, I've just selected random ones. That's okay. And for some of you, you might be like, oh, I really don't know what to select. As our panelists have suggested tonight, select some things that you're like, oh, maybe I'll be interested in that, or I've never heard of that. Let me go learn about it. Because really, you never know. You might actually discover that, maybe you want to do it as an honors, which is just like a really, you get to do a thesis, honors thesis at the end, or you could just do it as a major. So really, the common theme here that I'm picking up is that you don't have to know it at all. I know, like I mentioned earlier, it seems very daunting. And actually, I'll share my own experience as to why I chose a program that I did. So when I came to St. Thomas, I actually intended to do psychology. But then I was trying to fill out my schedule. So I took Introduction to Human Rights, and then I also took Introduction to Criminology and Criminal Justice. And the rest is history. I literally fell in love with those two programs. And like Julia said, I really thought those two programs were like really connected. And it's like, oh my gosh, like, let me explore them together. And that's what I did. So, you'll be able to discover all of these things as you go along. So you don't have to come already knowing what you want to do. And if you do, that's, oh my gosh, that's really great. But you're not actually expected to declare your major until the end of your second year. So it gives you a lot of wiggle room to like change your mind or like try other new things. But yeah, you get those opportunities. So folks, feel free to put in the questions in the Q&A box for our students. But I just have a question for, I guess, Julia, at the moment that came in. So a student is just wondering what you mean by domestic student and how does it work with living in New Brunswick?
Yeah, sure. So what I meant by that is just the fact that I'm a student that lives, like I'm from New Brunswick. So I do attend school like directly on campus at St. Thomas, and it's not a program or anything. It's just because I have lived in New Brunswick my whole life that I'm considered a domestic student.
Perfect. Thank you for clarifying that for them. My next question is for, I guess, the whole panel, actually. Like, do you recommend taking morning classes or afternoon classes or even evening classes? What has your experience kind of been like? And we can, again, start with Amber.
Yeah, so I think this answer would change depending on what lifestyle you like. So for me, I really enjoy morning classes because I find that I'm most productive in the morning. So when I go to class in the morning, I'm able to focus better. I'm able to leave class feeling like I've comprehended what we've learned. Whereas some other people might not like mornings, they might like to wait and sleep in a little bit and then go to class. So it really depends on what your lifestyle is like. So there's no wrong answer there. All of our classes have lots of different time slots that you can choose from. So you're always going to find a class regardless of what your schedule might look like for you. So really just kind of try out different time slots in your first year, figure out what works best for you, and then you can go from there.
Yeah, that is certainly right. What Amber suggested is pretty much the reality of many people. It depends pretty much on how do you like to do your own schedule. Like if you are a morning person and you feel more productive in the morning, then definitely taking classes early in the morning so that you can be free in the afternoon and work, do something in the evening. That will be pretty much great. However, there are some other people, I've got even friends that prefer to sleep even more in the morning, like until 10 or 11. They can have breakfast or have a lunch, and then they could go to classes starting like at 1 or 2. So it's pretty much depends on everyone. I'm a morning person, so I'd rather go with classes in the morning and in the afternoon, because I feel like the darker is the day, I feel like less productive. So I would probably not go with classes in the evening. However, definitely next year, which is my last year here at STU, I'll definitely have to take a few courses to complete my degree, but I'm going to give it a chance as well.
I feel like it's a bit different for me because I'm definitely not a morning person. I'm so grumpy in the mornings. So I actually do like actively avoid morning classes. Like I feel like this semester, the earliest class I had was 2:30, and like that worked out perfect for me. So like Amber and Amik said, I feel like it depends on what you think works out for you and your type of person. If you're like, you're more productive in the mornings, I'll definitely recommend, taking maybe morning classes. I feel like, you do better in the afternoons. They're like afternoon classes are like 12 to like 6. And I think like Amik said, one of the good things about STU is, they have like different time slots for classes. So most of the times you actually do have options to actually pick from. So I just, recommend, you pick what works best for you.
Yeah, this year I got lucky, and normally my classes were in the window between like 10 to 3, which is like ideal for me. But I guess everyone's basically said what I wanted to say about how it's really a personalized decision. I feel like another important piece of advice that is related is just the fact that you just have to be good with managing your time, and that's a skill that you'll develop in university. When you're in high school, for instance, you might be in school for like an extended period of time from like 7 in the morning to 3:30 in the afternoon. In university, if you're taking a full-time 5 courses a day, 5 courses course load, you're only going to be in class like 15 hours a week. And it's a lot about setting up your schedule to ensure that you have time to do your assignments, do your readings. It's a lot more independent work. So just finding a schedule and a time management system that works for you is really important. And don't stress, there's tons of resources on campus to help you with that. But it's more about focusing on what works best for you and then managing your time accordingly.
Yeah, I am in the fine arts program. So there's not too many like multiples of the courses I take that are offered. So they're all within the same time slot every time. And they're more often than not like from the afternoon to nighttime. But if you're in any other program, you typically get more say. So it's nice. This year I was able to have, like Julia said, a lot of my courses were kind of back to back between like 10:30 and 2:30. And then that left my Tuesdays and Thursdays open. So I was able to use those days to catch up on homework, go to the gym, work, stuff like that. So depending on how your schedule lines up, if you're able to be adaptable with your lifestyle choices, it works out either way.
Yeah, I guess like just adding to what everyone said, it's pretty much, it depends on what type of person you are. Honestly, I have my classes all scattered most of the time. So I might have like morning classes and also like afternoon classes. And it works, it's fine. But as well, you can like accommodate and just do it like in the early afternoon. My ideal one is like 10 a.m. to like 3 p.m. as Julia said. But it's cool to like just mix and match and see like which one you like. You get to learn more about yourself, and like in the first year you can like take like all of these classes, and then you'll see like what you like. Honestly, for me, the classes that I am not too keen of taking are the ones in the night, in the evening, just because my brain is like elsewhere when it's the night. Like I just want to do like my assignments and stuff and sleep and eat. So yeah, it really just depends. And don't worry, you have time to figure out if you're a morning person or a night person or a afternoon person when it comes to classes. And yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think, what we can conclude from this question is that it really depends on the type of student that you are. So I know in high school right now, like your schedule is pretty set for you from morning to afternoon, but the good thing is now you get to decide your own. So really take advantage of that, especially in your first few years, because you will have that, flexibility in terms of like courses that are offered maybe a couple of times. So really take advantage of that and really set your schedule depending, and be honest with yourself. Are you really a morning person? Are you going to go to class at 9 a.m.? Or are you going to go to class at like 4 p.m., that kind of thing? So be really honest with yourself. That way you don't miss classes, because we do not want that. But yeah, so my next question is actually going to pass it to you, Estefania. So in terms of like taking courses back to back, would you recommend it, and can students do it? Is it enough time for students to get from one class to another, the space between those classes?
So if you take back-to-back classes, it's definitely possible to move to classes. It takes like 5 minutes to like get to like another buildings. And if your class is in lower courtyard and you have to go to the upper courtyard, it will take like 7 minutes tops if you like walk with your friends and you start talking and stuff. So it's totally possible. Like, don't worry about moving to classes. However, I do not 100% recommend taking back-to-back classes. You can try it. It depends on what person you are. Last semester, I took like 3 back-to-back classes, and it got a little bit tiring, and I needed lots of coffee and stuff. And also, if you have exams, you cannot study before an exam because you have a class before and stuff like that. So like those things are to consider. However, you can obviously try, and you should try it if you want to, because it might work for you, to like just get them over with and then like move on with other assignments or projects. In my experience, it wasn't my favorite thing, and I'm glad I'm not gonna have back-to-back classes this semesters.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I think it's one of those, again, decisions that you need to make, and being honest with yourself. Like, do you think you'll be able to retain information 3 classes, 2 classes back to back? If not, then we would recommend that you do just one and have a break for like a snack or a coffee, that sort of thing. But again, bottom line is that it would depend on you as a student. So our next question is, I guess I'm going to pass it on to Amik. The student is just wondering that as an international student, how did you find it transitioning to classes here, specifically in Canada? Were they different from sort of like your high school experience and all of that?
I think pretty much, at least on my studies in high school, it was very similar in terms of like doing written assignments, writing essays. However, the difference was was huge in terms of like the amount of pages that I had to write in high school compared here. Essentially, if you are a poli-sci or international relations major, it's definitely sometimes the upper level courses that you take, sometimes it's going to require even more pages to write. But in terms of transitioning, like from our own countries and adapting here in Canada was pretty much simple, because you're going to find a very wonderful, a very tight-knit community, because everyone is very close, everyone's very supportive all the times. Like since the first day that you arrived, you're gonna find your group of friends essentially like the first week when you come, which is Welcome Week. Is this wonderful event where you're gonna make a lot of friends. Like you're gonna find that support of all the people surrounded here at St. Thomas, and like they're gonna be there all the time for you in terms of like whenever you need any assistance or like any help. And this is not just talking at all about like all the services that the university already gives to you as a student. So yeah, like you're gonna find so much support from the students, from faculty, from the many offices here at St. Thomas, that you're not gonna be alone at all. So like your transition is gonna be very smooth.
Yeah, perfect. I think I really echo what Amik mentioned in terms of like the supportive community. So definitely don't feel like it's a transitional period for everyone, and there's going to be a lot of support along the way. Take advantage of that support. There is no myth or any sort of like, shame in reaching out for help or assistance. In fact, we really encourage it, regardless of whether you're a domestic student or an international student and require help. But I guess my next question is really going to be for everyone. So everyone on the panel, and it's kind of like we've received 3 questions on this. So I'll just kind of combine it. So students are just wondering, as students, how have you been able to have campus jobs or off-campus jobs, be part of clubs and societies, volunteer and all of that? They're just wondering, how do you do it?
Yeah, so volunteering and working when you're a student is definitely possible. It all kind of comes down to time management. So you really have to be able to plan your schedule well, and make time for the things that are priorities to you. At STU, luckily we have a very vibrant on-campus job program, and all of our on-campus jobs are very accommodating. They recognize that you are a student first. They're very flexible with their hours, very patient with you. So if you're interested in working while you're a student, I would definitely recommend applying to some of the jobs that STU has to offer. I've loved my experience working on campus, so I always like to give that a little shout out. As well, we do have a student success coach on campus, and that's an amazing resource that can help you with your time management skills. So I would definitely recommend seeking that out as well if that's something that you struggle with. And that could really help you get on board and plan out your semester, what your days might look like, your weeks, your months, stuff like that. So that's what I would recommend.
On my own experience, honestly, I feel that my third year was the year that I was involved in so many things. Besides the work, besides like this year, I had to overload. So, like for example, in the first semester, I took 6 courses. I got 3 jobs on campus. And besides that, I was volunteering in one of the clubs here at St. Thomas. So we like and with all of this and overall, it means like we as a students, we can be involved in many things because it is possible. It all requires like a very good time management skills, because that's how you're gonna be able to balance like the amount of work that you give to each of all of those activities that you're involved. And if you do not have like the best or excellent time management skills, that's why we have, for example, the student success coach that Amber mentioned. This is one of the best offices that we have at St. Thomas, which actually help us to even build our own schedule, enhance or develop even those time management skills. Because we as the students want to be involved in many areas. It opens our doors. It makes very wonderful friends and be involved in the community and serve the community as well. So it is something that is definitely possible. You only have to be committed and really do the things because you really want and you enjoy them. And like at the end of the day, you're gonna really see that it is possible and that you're not gonna like leave something behind for being involved in many areas. So that is certainly something that I recommend. Be involved in campus, apply to jobs that you're going to find on campus, which is really, really wonderful.
Yeah, like I definitely also agree with what Amik said, and I can also relate to what Amik said as well, because I feel like my second year was also quite busy for me because I worked like 3 jobs on campus and I had to volunteer with 2 clubs as well, and I had school as well. I would definitely also recommend meeting with the student success coach, to help you plan your schedule, all that stuff. And I also think, one thing I love about St. Thomas University is the fact that, we have a supportive community, even with the clubs. Like, I don't think you have to do anything like 100% by yourself. There's always people there to support you. If you need like, help, if you just need, support, I know there's always like team members. If you're on the executive board or, you're just a member, there's always people that support you and to guide you as well. I would 100% recommend getting involved on campus because it's such a great way to socialize, make friends. Like there's so much you could do, and you don't have to necessarily take up like a leadership position. If you just want to be a member, you could also be a member. So I feel like you also have to do what works for you. So if you feel like, this might be too much for you, you could just be a general member in a club. And also 100% recommend working on campus, like Amber said. In my first year, I did try working off campus, but it was good. But I realized working on campus, the staff on campus are understanding your students, and most of the time they actually do have your schedule as well. So they won't actually, give you hours when you're supposed to be in class, and they're super understanding as well. So, they have your schedule and they're always willing to work around that. So 100% recommend working on campus. And there's so many, variety of jobs, like you could work on campus, and I'm like high chance you're probably going to find, something you actually do enjoy doing. And there's always something, it's actually, jobs program also streamlined for students as well. I know we have STU jobs, and then we also have STU Works International for, helping first and second international students find employment on campus. So there's always like resources and stuff, you can actually check out, to help you find jobs on campus and actually, just get yourself, support that you need.
Yeah, I will echo the fact that I think it's really important to get involved, and there's great opportunities and perks that come along with getting involved. I will also say that you need to be patient with yourself and don't feel like you need to get involved in a million things at once, especially in your first year. Academics do come first. And if that means that you only want to get in, maybe you want to just take the first semester to get used to all your classes and then maybe join a club in second semester, or only join one club at first to try and like ease yourself in. That is also no problem at all. You don't need to do everything at once. You can try one thing in your first year, realize that it works with your workload, and maybe you're willing to add something else. But yeah, take what you can commit yourself to fully and still thrive in, and leave time for yourself to be able to take care of yourself and thrive in university. It can be easy to burn out in this type of setting. So you want to make sure that you are patient with yourself and recognize that maybe your classmate might be able to manage more commitments and be fine. And then maybe that doesn't really work with you. So you want to, don't push yourself more than you have to. But as you can see, that many of the people here are prime examples that you can get involved, you can work and still be successful. But again, be patient with yourself. It doesn't always just come super easy, but there's a lot of supports on campus that can help you get there.
Yeah, I had an off-campus job for the first 3 years of my degree, and I loved it. And now in my 4th year, I had an on-campus job. I had great experiences with both. But to avoid echoing what everyone else said, an additional time, I will say for off-campus jobs, I mean, this is a university town with over 7 post-secondary institutions within the city itself. So there's tons of, there's high demand for jobs for students, and there's lots of jobs to go around for students. So with that comes a lot of like flexibility. That being said, working on campus is super helpful because of course, your employers understand that need for flexibility. But with that, there's also lots of internships that you can get that are really helpful to advance you within your own field of study, as well as going towards like the certificate of experiential learning and community engagement, if that's something you're interested in obtaining during your degree. So yeah, great off-campus job opportunities, great on-campus job opportunities, and lots of internship opportunities as well that count for either course credit or for pay.
Yeah, I believe everyone really touched on every point of this question. It is definitely possible, and I would recommend that you can be involved with, volunteer opportunities, clubs, outreach programs, and also jobs slash internships. And I would recommend it because it opens you like so many doors, and you connect with so many people, and you create all of these soft skills and hard skills that will help you later on. So definitely do it. I've been doing it since day one, being here on campus, and I have loved it. I have met so many people. I have created so many skills, and well, it's been great. But as well, take one day at a time, get to know what you like, what you don't like, what club you want to be involved, what leadership position you want to be involved, what job you want to apply for, and all that stuff. There's so many opportunities, and you'll be able to get to all of those opportunities throughout your 4 years at STU, 4 years plus at STU, and you'll get to have like all these opportunities. I am 100% sure of it. And also like the employers on the on-campus jobs and also on the internships, they know you're a student, so they are really accommodating in all of my jobs on campus and internship. And my managers have been amazing. They understand that you're a student and being a student comes first. So yeah, don't worry about it. Take one day at a time. You'll be able to be involved in everything you would like to.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I definitely echo what all of you have said. And I think the really biggest important thing to note is that you can be as involved as you want or as not as involved as you want. And really just being, intentional about the things you're involved in, being mindful of your time, making use of the resources that we have to sort of help you navigate all of that. And if you ever get to a point where you feel like you're involved in too much, you can always scale down on things, but definitely come in with an open mind, but also don't overwhelm yourself. So now we have a question, and I'm going to pass it on to Amber. A student is just wondering, is there any breaks between semesters?
Yeah, so you definitely do have a break between the semesters. First semester runs from September to around mid-December. And then we have a break for the holidays, and we come back at the start of January and go until the middle of April. So you do have a couple weeks in between the semesters to do some self-care, to re-energize yourself for the new semester. But as well, we also do have a break within each semester. We call it reading week. And that's basically just a week that you get off. You can catch up on any assignments, get any readings that you need done. But also just take time to yourself as well to recharge a little bit, maybe hang out with your friends and your family. So you definitely do have some downtime throughout the semester, which is really helpful.
Yeah, that's awesome. So a student is also wondering, and I'll be happy to take this question. They just registered for their courses, but they're not sure if it was done officially. So an easy way you can tell whether you've been registered or not, when you log into self-service and you go to your schedule, it will show you classes in a green box. So if it's in a green box, that means you're good to go. But if it has any other like colors, it usually would show you the error message to say, hey, you've not registered. And if it says registered but not started, do not worry. It just means, as you know, the semester only starts in September. So you've technically not started the course. So don't let that alarm you in any way. And I'm happy to take on some of the other questions that have also come in. A student is just wondering where they stay during the summer semesters, and if they're required to pay extra. So essentially, we do have some housing that tends to be open for students. But I invite you to join, especially for all the students that are wondering about residence related questions. I actually invite you to join our residence web series that will be coming up. There's one next week, and you'll be able to register for it in the same way that you registered for this one. And we'll actually have the Residence Live team there join and answer your questions. So, but of course, you can always reach out to us directly and we'll be able to answer that for you. I guess, another student is also wondering, when does registration end? So we really encourage you to register for courses as soon as possible. So what that means is that if you're able to do it now, even if you're sort of like, debating between two courses, please register for them, because what happens now is that some courses are actually filling up and some actually don't have capacity anymore. Some are quite popular than others. So just to set yourself up for success, I would recommend that you register as soon as possible, because you can actually deregister for them at some point if you realize that, hey, I actually don't want to be in this class. But I recommend that you ensure that you register for at least 5 courses in each semester. It's a lot easier to drop courses than it is to get in courses, because getting in courses much later on in the semester or even in the year, they would have actually filled up. So I really encourage you to do it as soon as possible. If you're looking for a ballpark day, really, we encourage you May 15th to do it. But yeah, as soon as possible is really the best. And for those students who are maybe still considering or haven't really made their final decision, this is in no way sort of like your a way of making a decision. It's really just you setting yourself up for success, rather, in terms of like ensuring that you have selected your courses and you're kind of ready to go, so that you don't have to scramble and worry at the end in terms of like, like courses that you should take and all of that. But yeah, so that is all for the questions that we have. I know we still have some in there in the chat. Folks, I really encourage you to reach out to us directly in terms of like your admissions counselor, as that's very important. For the questions that are not necessarily related to course registration, I do encourage you to reach out to either myself or the admissions counselor that you've been working with, to ensure that they give you specified responses, because for some of them it might be situational based, and we're not able to like kind of give you a full answer on that. But with that said, I will actually give my lovely panelists a final question. So I guess, is there anything that you would wish you had known in your first year when you're registering for courses? And I know you might have probably hinted at it or touched at it at some point in the questions, but is there something that you really wish you had known in first year when you're registering for your courses? So you can advise our students joining us.
Yeah, so something that I wish I knew in first year is definitely the fact that you don't have to stick to what you originally applied for. So for example, if you applied to study psychology at STU, and then you come here and decide that psychology is not for you, that's 100% okay. And there's no rush to decide what you want to study and the major that you want to declare. Like Muchinetta mentioned earlier, you have until the end of your second year to declare your major, so you definitely have time to try out different courses, to switch different courses that you might be enrolled in, and really just get a feel for the waters that we have to offer at STU. So really, when you're registering for your courses, come in with an open mind. Maybe there might be a class that sounds interesting to you, but you didn't think that it's something you might want to study. Take it anyway. You never know where it could lead you, like I mentioned earlier. That's how I found my major. That's how I found my passion. So don't limit yourself when you are applying.
On my case, I'm going to echo a little bit about what Amber said, because it was an advice that I received during my first year. It was definitely very helpful and really guide me towards my degree that I'm completing and the courses that I'm focusing on, which is don't stick to one area, like give it a try to many other areas, even those that you've never heard of. Amber mentioned at the beginning about gerontology, something she'd never heard before, and like something that she's really into in the present. And the same situation was in my case. I had never heard about sociology, but I found like when I read the job description, the course description, I found it very interesting and like something that I could at least relate or connect. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give it a try. And sometimes, like, for example, I took criminology classes, and even though I enjoy those courses, I notice that, okay, this is not something that I want to spend my degree, complete my degree, but what's definitely something that was really helpful at the time and guide me towards what I wanted to do and what I didn't want it to do. So like, even if you register in some courses that at the end of the day you didn't enjoy, they are somehow guiding you towards your degree, towards what really it's passionate for you and really is into your interests. So don't be afraid of giving tries to different areas and different subjects that you probably never heard of. And my advice is read some course description. Those might be really, really helpful at the end when registering for your courses.
Like just like Amit said about reading course descriptions, I think that's also one thing I would like to echo on. And I'll just say, like, ask questions, honestly. Like, I find that the St. Thomas University staff are very, friendly, they're always, more than happy to actually answer your questions. And I do find that, like, there's some like pre-recorded, like, webinars and pre-recorded lectures on YouTube or social media, and like there's like short reels on professors talking about courses. So if you want something more visual, I would suggest probably following social media, because there's a lot of posts on courses if you just want to see what the professor looks like. I know I was so curious. I wanted to know and just hear about everything, and after reading I just wanted more details, and I find that we have like more videos on social media you could probably see and get to hear the professors actually speak more about the courses. And I feel like that would also help you clear some doubts that you have. And also, like, if you have like any questions, I would 100% recommend also reaching out to the university, because they also they would actually give more guidance, more clearance as what the course is about. And if you have like questions on to be sure you're actually registered, just so have like technical questions, more than happy they would actually to answer you.
Yeah, so when you're taking classes in your first year, it's natural that you're not going to like everything the same amount. That's the point. That's why we specialize in specific areas and in different areas dependent on our interests. But relating back to what Amik said, I think it's really important to recognize that there's no class that's wasted. Like, when I look back to my first year and I think of like one of the most challenging courses I took in my first year was Intro to Philosophy. And while I didn't continue to pursue philosophy, it helped build my confidence. It helped my writing skills. It helped push me into different fields. It helped me when I had to later take political philosophy. So it's not as if just because I was intellectually and academically challenged in that course, and just because I didn't want to major in it, doesn't mean it didn't have value. And it's value that I've carried throughout my degree. So don't think that if there's one course you're maybe not thriving in as much, or maybe it's not going as well as your other courses, that means it's not serving a benefit to you.
I would say don't freak out if you don't get into a course that you wanted to get into, or something's not going right. There's a grace period at the start of every semester. So there's a few weeks for leeway if you want to switch out of classes, drop them, add new ones. Sometimes if there's a super busy class, people will drop out and you can join a waiting list. But aside from that, try new things. If you don't get what you originally wanted, sometimes it's a gift, because you end up in another class and loving that one all the much more. So.
I would say trust the process. I remember in my first year, as I was registering for the courses, I was so frustrated because people who were already at STU, they were telling me like, oh, just take like all the courses that you find interest. And I was like, no, I want to take this course of international relations and economics and this and that, because I want to take these credits and all that stuff. But no, that's not exactly how it works. Trust the process, choose all the courses that you're interested in. Believe me, at the end, you'll have the credits you need for the majors you want and the minors you want and honor you want. When they tell you like to choose like just whichever ones like you find interest in, sparks like your interest, just do it. Everything will be fine at the end of the day. You have advisors, we have the registrars. You can also ask the faculty members of your department. So believe me, everything will be fine. Yeah, trust the process.
Wow, thank you all so much. I think, that was really helpful to just kind of get your guys' perspectives in terms of like the process that you've sort of gone through and the programs you've been a part of and the opportunities that have come from that. I think, I really echo what Estefania you finished with, to trust the process, because you know, in the moment, it may not make sense, like, okay, why am I taking this course? Or like, you know, is it going to be worth it? It will be worth it. And really, when we tell students to register for courses that interest them, it's not a trick question at all. Like, it's not meant to trip you up or anything like that. And if you don't know your interest, it's okay, right? You can literally just register for a course just by reading the course description and saying, okay, let me find out about that. You know, maybe challenge yourself and say, hey, I've never heard of this. I've never heard of gerontology, for example. Let me take a course and let me see what it's about. So it's really not a, you know, it's not a trick, you know, a setup or anything like that to tell you to choose what you're interested in, because we really want you to do that at the end of the day. We really want you, when you graduate, to say, I really took the courses I was interested in, because at the end of the day, this is the goal. This is, you know, this is why you're coming to St. Thomas, to pursue a degree that you're interested in. So that's really why we encourage you. So I know we didn't get to all the questions, folks, and especially those that were not necessarily related to course registration, but don't worry, we'll still have a lot more of these webinars that focus on different topics every week. So I know we had a lot of residence related questions. So I'm here to tell you that next week, literally same time, same place, we'll be having and hearing from our Residence Live team talking about choosing your roommate. So if you have those questions that you had, of course, you can definitely reach out to us during this week and we can definitely get back to you. But I really think it would do you good to attend some of these webinars, actually even all of them. I know for some of you, it's like pretty late in the evening and we really appreciate your time, but you'll thank yourself coming to these webinars and getting more information, actually getting acquainted with a lot of people at STU, because like if you come on campus, you're probably going to recognize Amik, you know, going to classes. Who knows, you might even be in a class with, you know, some of these lovely people. So, you know, you get to start making and forming relationships. And like Tisha mentioned, there are a lot of videos online, like even like reels that you can watch on your phone in like a few seconds. Take advantage of that. It's really information that we're creating for you guys, so you can like make use of it essentially. Because I know for some students, you may not be able to physically come to campus, which is okay because we have virtual tours as well. So these are personalized. So if you get to meet with myself or one of the other admissions counselors, because I'm on a team of 6 people, so you'll be able to actually meet with either one of us and have a chat with us. We'll be able to kind of go through every concern that you have. And then after that, you also get a virtual tour, which is done by a current student. So you'll also get to have one-on-one time with a current student. And again, this will give you an opportunity to kind of see your future at St. Thomas, you know, getting that perspective from someone who's literally being where you are right now. So I guess the parting message that I have today, definitely follow us on social media. Ensure you're kind of like keeping abreast of like everything happening. I think social media, you know, is really a good place for you to kind of also get an idea of like what is STU like, you know, what are students up to, what are they doing? Because we will post a lot of those things. But I think also against echo, what Tisha mentioned, for some of these courses, we have some videos up on our Instagram that just kind of give you a little blurb about them. Again, you also get to see the professors, as Tisha also mentioned. So take advantage of that and really, you know, start, you know, familiarizing yourself with the community that is going to be your new home. So with that said, you can also reach out to us in terms of like any questions that you have. I am, you know, available to meet with students as well. Like we can set up a meeting, but I know I speak for my colleagues as well. We're happy to connect with you guys and make this process as easy and as seamless as possible. But with that said, thank you all so much for joining us. And I hope I see you in next week's webinar, because I'll be there for all those residence questions that you had. But with that said, I hope you have a good rest of your evening, your morning, or your afternoon. And thank you so much for joining. And for our panelists, I hope you all have a good evening as well. And thank you for joining. Bye, everyone.